Back in 2023, me and a few friends were playing Minecraft on a survival world, and the person who owned that world had to leave for a few hours, I think, and we were sitting there on the call just waiting for him to come back, and then suddenly I had the idea to create a realm, and after a bit of explaining, I created the Boys SMP, which I didn't know at the time, but that thing has created a lot of memories with me and my friends, and also a lot of videos on this account. If you look, it is mainly just videos from the Boys SMP, and a few days after it was created, this happened. So for those of you who aren't aware and haven't watched the Boys SMP, Happy Sheep is basically the sort of thing that made everything happen. Without him, none of this would have happened. And basically he was a sheep. I found a pink sheep, and he was just near the village of Oakland. I found him one morning, so I took him in, called him Happy Sheep, put him by the one of the villager houses, and then my friend Reese logged on that same morning, and I walked over to him, I saw him, and I also saw Happy Sheep being set fire to, and then this happened.
Project Raw has begun.
So the first episode of the Boys SMP was just me being a horrible friend to Reese, and it started with a funeral for Happy Sheep, and then we trapped him in a cage, and for the rest of the episode I was just being horrible. There was no need for it, and a bit of advice: don't be horrible to your best friend because they can never trust you again. Now without this episode, the Boys SMP wouldn't have been as big as it was in my friend group and with me. But I'd really love to go back in time and tell my younger self to not do that, because there was no need to be horrible to my best friend like that. Season 1 had a very special charm. It was no big story, no big plot, just a survival world. And I think that was what made it. Because after that it was all story-led episodes with sort of like plots and everything and villains. The main villain in season 1 was me, because I was so rude to Reese in episode 1. And other than that, there's nothing really. It was just playing old Minecraft with a bit of cheats in the first few episodes, and then after that, just chilling with my friends on Minecraft. Until episode 6, where we introduced Lake Town, which was Scott's creative world where he built a big medieval village that I think was really nice, but obviously it's meant to be an SMP, not a role-playing medieval village. If it was, it'd be the medieval roleplay. It wouldn't be the Boys SMP. And that sort of marked the start of using creative for worlds, because after that it was just the Boys SMP and then going to Lake Town every few episodes, and then eventually in episode 13 I did switch it to creative rather than actually beating the Ender Dragon, and then, you know, it just sort of started to make an effect where every single episode was in creative. Like after episode 13 there was no videos made in the actual survival world, which I do regret doing, but I mean, it's not that big of a deal. And then season 2 just had a big plot, and that sort of was followed with the rest of the seasons. So episode 15 was kind of a cinematic ending to the Boys SMP. It was originally meant to be the ending to the Boys SMP, but as you probably know if you've watched it, it's not. And Scott was here ready to flick the lever, because apparently, according to the prophecy, he had to. And flicking his lever caused a big explosion where everyone would be sucked into it, and they'd be transported to the new area, which is Reality Ruins. And that was like a sort of hub to get to every place in Realitas. And the person who lived there is Time Lord. And at the start he was sort of a villain, but later on in the series he does become nicer, and then he just disappears.
That nice chap called Reese, he
Yeah.
died instead, sadly. So, yeah. So like a vengeance or like Batman.
Season 2 was probably one of the best seasons. It had a lot of funny moments, a lot of random moments, quite a bit of character development as well. I'm not going to say too much because if you want to watch them, go and watch them. I recommend watching Season 2. If you got bored of the first few episodes, watch Season 2. It expands on all the stuff that wasn't answered in Season 1, and it finally gives just the season, it's a season with enough plot to know what's going on. So you don't expect just a random episode next episode, it's just kind of got some focus. And at the end it was 5 parts of the war, and it was all to be continued every time. And then the ending was a lot of explosions, which I think was cool. So after Season 2, I kind of liked the idea of having a story, and there was no sort of reason as to why the SMP had started, and I thought to make a short video which showcased Tommy's life before the first episode. So it started out with Tommy and Reese's kids being babysitted by Scott, which shows how old he is in the series, and later on you get to see Otto the Holy, which is Tommy's dad, get killed by the Witch King, and this sort of shows that the Witch King is very evil. It's just like the first glimpse of the Witch King if you watch it from this episode, and he just don't come back for another season, which I think is pretty cool. And later on it shows Tommy getting crowned, and then the opening of Oakland, which none of it actually happened in real life. Obviously the SMP just started because of what I said earlier in the video, and I just think this just kind of makes it a proper story rather than being a Minecraft world. And this is a sort of a start of moving away from it being in Minecraft. It's like sort of a story behind the fact it's a Minecraft world. So Season 3 was meant to be like a sort of relaxed season after the war, and basically there was meant to be 5 episodes were chilling, then another 5 was the darkness and all like a plague, and then the 5 after was going to be a sort of like technology invasion sort of thing. Now, because of the sort of like limitations of what I could do, we just kind of decided let's just merge it all together into 5 episodes. And this is a start. It's something which I hate, but it's just happened over time. Every season now is 5 or 6 episodes. You've got this season and Season 4, which are 5 episodes. Season 5, which is 6 episodes. And Season 6 is 5 full episodes and then 2 mini episodes. And I don't like it, but if the videos were high quality it would be okay, but the Season 3 videos aren't that good quality. So Season 3 kind of become a sort of random season again, like Season 1, because the end of Episode 1, they were in the deep dark and fighting the Warden, and then for some reason the start of Episode 2, they fall from the sky, and they are now in Old Oakland again. Now it's a bit strange, I know, I don't know why I did this, it was just sort of like trying to make the episodes a bit more entertaining for us, but then the sort of story was gone. The Scott like keeps coming back in every sort of episode and like little hints, which I guess is okay, but I mean it's cool to see the old world, but obviously it's not one-to-one because it's a recreation. I do think it's nice anyway. So Season 4 wasn't part of the original plan. It was just meant to be Tommy dies at the end of Season 3, which he does, and then like the rest of the Boys SMP is ended. And basically the reason why the Boys SMP Season 4 exists is because the Witch King is annoyed that Tommy's died, but he didn't kill him. So the Witch King sort of brings him back and sort of makes him think he's gonna live, and then he kills him at the end. And this season's a bit random. It's more like just Tommy exploring a bit, and then it just ends. There's a lot of like times when they come back to this where you can see now this sort of village, and it's called the Citadel, and it's like where the Last Order live, and it's based on a game that Scott used to play a lot called Chivalry 2, and some of the music from that game has been used in some of the episodes, which I've given credit to in the descriptions of those videos. And I do think that music's good, but I just don't know, it doesn't really fit the boys SMP. I mean, look back at season 1, I don't think you get medieval battle vibes from that. So this is a scene where Tommy does die in this final battle against the Witch King. I did find it a bit anticlimactic because there wasn't really much going on, and then he just dies to a bunch of evokers. That's about it. What I like about season 5 is it's different to all the others. It's got one singular threat, and that's the Webstorm. There's also a different sort of main character in this one. It's no longer King Tommy, it's the Messenger, and because King Tommy is dead now, officially gone, and the whole 6 episodes, it's just trying to find out how to defeat it. And then in the 6th episode, the Messenger ends up finding a hole in the Webstorm, and he goes through it, attacks the tentacles, and then attacks the command block and finally defeats it. If you play manga story mode, you know how it goes, so it's not really that hard to explain. If not, just watch the season. Watch the season anyway, because it's pretty good. But it does get a bit boring if you've watched it already, because you kind of know what's happening. It's just wandering around fighting the Webstorm the entire time. Also, this is the last time we see Reality Ruins, and that's because the Webstorm has actually taken over it, and that's why it doesn't come back, because the Webstorm has taken over Reality Ruins, it's just gone forever. That's why it's not in season 6. And yeah, it just sort of takes over most of the world, and there's a massive crater that's caused where the sort of mountain is, and that's because of someone placed a view from Meadowbombs down. It wasn't a good idea. Look at the mountain where the fort base used to be, Coast Fort Base. So season 6 was sort of the aftermath of the events of season 5, and the Messenger is now gone, and Scott's sort of resting in a little cabin in the middle of Wraithwood, which is this haunted forest, which is sort of like, it's got a lot of sort of horror mods in to make it scary. And yeah, what happens is this character called Tom the Leader, who is King Tommy from a different universe, he's come to Venatos to help save it, because his universe had the same events, but he became the last one in his universe, and he was just sitting there alone for years, and he was just making sure that didn't happen. And he's come to replace King Tommy to help the world survive, and he's come to Wraithwood to try and find Scott, and that's what happens in the first episode. And in the next few episodes, the Last Order begins to regain power. They've taken over Oakland again. It's now called Oaks of Orders, and all of Oakland and everything is just frozen in snow, and they've made a village on the ice, and it ends with a bunch of lava flooding all the Oaks of Orders, which makes it melt. Later on in the season, it's found out that the Last Order built this big huge mountain, and inside is a sort of factory where they're enslaving villagers to build things for them. And in this episode, there's a cool chase scene which is playing now, where Tom the Leader sort of chases one of the members of the Last Order, tries to find out what's happening, and he ends up losing him. And in this season, there's a village in the desert, and they have managed to build guns, which is why there's guns and motorbikes and stuff in this season, because it's become more advanced. So what's next for the Boys SMP? Because if you've watched this far, you should hopefully like the Boys SMP. And I know some of the videos I might have said things I don't think I should have said, and I'm not going to delete the videos because the memories, and you know, I just love Boys SMP. But if you don't like what I said, please don't watch it, and please don't just come and attack me for it. Anyway, I'm not saying it will return, but if this attracts enough attention and I can convince some of my friends to come back and do it, I might just have a chance to do one final episode. And if I do, I will definitely make sure it's a good one, maybe even the best one. Anyway, I've been Chris4, and this has been the Boys SMP sort of documentary video, and I hope you enjoy it. And if you did, please subscribe, please comment, because commenting means more than subscribing to me. And I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.